good evening, Matt. I have a ridiculously full belly. I think I ate way too much dinner, so please don't make me laugh too hard. Take it easy on me, man. All right, it's our favorite time of the day. It is now.
You.
That's right. It's right. Little arrow review, and it is kind of a quiet, subtle arrow. There's only a couple of symbols each, so it shouldn't take too long. Let's just get on it because I'm sure everybody's busy tonight. So, all right. As always, we start with yesterday's potential signals. GFI Goldfields Limited. It did break out today, and
Nice.
yeah. Same thing with Virtu Financial.
All
Um,
right.
we'll just see. We'll just see how it goes. I mean, gold's on a tear.
Yeah,
GFI, the gold stocks have been doing quite well. We did talk about Idaho Strategic Resources. TFPM has held up quite well. I believe RGLD is doing okay. I think there's AGI.
Alamo's
That's
gold. Yeah,
that's holding up well. So it's kind of part and parcel. It's the lead. It's one of the leading sectors. So it's kind of what we do. We ended up trying to find the stocks that are being bought. On the downside, Baldwin did hit a sell signal. It's still looking pretty tight. Unfortunately, it did hit a new low, so that does kind of put that whole wedge to whoops. Uh-oh. Kind of put that whole wedge to shame or to bed there. So we'll just kind of delete that. But it is still kind of holding, so we're going to put a little anchor there and see if it can kind of starts trading above there.
let's go.
Everco did manage to avoid a sell signal. Same thing with Genie Sports,
Nice.
Goose Insurance, another avoidance there. Halozyme, similar pattern. It broke its potential nice wedge it had going on, so we'll delete those. Put a little red arrow there. Oops.
Come on, biotech. What are you doing?
Yeah, yeah, I don't trust those a whole lot. They usually don't have earnings behind them, and
Yeah,
just not a good look. Mercado Libre did officially fail today. It pretty much failed right off the get-go. So the algo's just kind of confirming what we already knew. Same thing with Netflix.
Hmm.
However, even though Netflix is flashing a technical sell signal, we're going to watch this one really close. This will probably be a staple, kind of like Meta was a staple for a couple of days there. We're going to keep Netflix on the watch list there.
Oh, I think Meta went on what, a 3 month tear?
Oh, it was like 16, 17 weeks, I believe, or not weeks, gosh
Crazy.
dang, 17 days in a row, I think is what it was. So that was pretty fun. Spotify, unlike the others that broke their patterns, Spotify is still trading right exactly the way we want to see. Okay, so that's looking really good. Viva did flash a sell signal, and I do kind of want to show a little thing on Viva here. Um, No, View's not the one I wanted to look at. ADMA, that's we'll bring up ADMA. That's on the next one. And Flowco Holdings, it
Whew.
resistance right at its all-time VWAP.
Yeah.
So no surprise that we got a little sell sign there. It's still waiting. It broke its pattern, so we're going to let that kind of rebuild, tighten up a little bit, and then hopefully the market starts rallying and we get a good potential breakout on there. I love newer issues simply because they're new, right? There's not a lot of people that know about new stocks. You get a newer issue within past couple of years IPO, good solid earnings growth. They tend to be newer companies. Newer companies tend to grow faster, which brings in more institutional money. So that gets to be a big winner. So I really like one of the screens I have is any stock that's traded that's gone IPO in the last 5 years that has earnings and revenue growth of 30% or more in the most recent quarter. So that's probably why Flowco came up on the list. But it's one of the things I like to look for. It's one of the most exciting trades that there is. For tomorrow, we've got a couple. We got our good friend T-Mobile.
Hey.
A more traditional setup here. It's holding up quite well. Held the VWAP down from the gap up. This was an earnings announcement. It's nice to see that hold. A lot of people obviously will sometimes treat that as a buy point. It is a point of interest for institutions, so it's always good to set an anchor there. Nice to see the price kind of stabilize around that. You got a couple of good things going here. One, you've got the descending wedges. You've got the higher lows. You got it breaking out above that, and it's kind of holding up above the VWAP just as the market is starting to find support. So the simple fact that T-Mobile has held up extremely well during this whole correction this is what a leading stock does. This is exactly what we're looking for. Like we've been preaching steadily. It's not the time to buy, right? We're probably going to let this one go, but this is just a good example of what a leading stock does. So, pretty excited to see T-Mobile. I mean, it's just that's just a great chart when
Okay.
you consider looking at a lot of the other ones. Newmont Corporation, one of those tricky little sell signals and a quick recovery. It
Yeah.
would be a little bit better if this had a little bit more of a move. I mean, I guess, you know, that that is up 30%. It's not as aggressive as we want. It does have a lower ADR of 2.7%. So it's not a fast mover. But the gold stocks, as we've seen, are playing out quite well. So this is another one of those gold ones that are breaking out. For potential sell signals, we have Technol. I'm not quite sure exactly what this company does. Aerospace and defense, wicked earnings per share growth, quite the run up.
Wow.
So it's going to be really good to see if this can hold. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw a little sell signal, but it's looking actually this even though the it's just real. This is a weird one. This entire downtrend, it did not flash a technical sell signal. It
Yeah.
wasn't until these 2 days right here. This is actually below the VWAP according to our algorithm. So that's why these 2 days are a potential sell signal. Had a little discussion on this with our programmer. Why wasn't this a green arrow? And it took a little bit of a minute for us to figure out that it's because it never flashed a sell signal for the algorithm to pick up. So that's an interesting little situation there.
And look at the volume
Exodus.
spike the last 4 days on tech as well. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, there's something going on there right at the VWAP. It's very tight. Yeah, that's an interesting scenario. I'm not quite sure what to make of that, to be honest with you, Matt.
Yeah.
You really want to see the volume just kind of tighten up around that,
Right.
especially when it starts going sideways. So there's some positioning going on around there, and it's gonna break one way or the other.
Right.
It'll be fun to see which way it goes. Exodus movement. Again, this is a newer issue. I love these newer stocks. Got wicked growth, 530% earnings per share growth in the last quarter. Very, very tight range. I mean, that's absurd. It's right at its 10-day
Wow.
VWAP average. It flashed a little buy signal here. Did no follow through on it. 1 day follow through, and then it kind of sold off negative, but it's just hanging so tight. And this is the volume. Look at that. That's about ready to pop one direction or the other. The trend kind of signifies it's probably going to pop up simply since you have clear lows right here that have been
Right.
supported both days. It's just the weight of the market is probably going to weigh this one down. If we were in a better market, if we were in a green zone or just hitting a green zone, I would have this on my watch list and I would be waiting by the minute for this thing to break out. So it's kind of unfortunate the situation that the market is in because that's a very exciting setup. And lastly, this is the one I wanted to talk about was ADMA. It flashed the classic warning sign right here. So you've got a flat top and then you have some descending highs or ascending highs, excuse me, or ascending lows. Gosh darn it. You have some ascending lows. That usually means it's going to break down. It doesn't always, but I've seen it enough to see that and go, uh-oh, and tend to use that as a sell signal before it does stuff like that. So even though it's kind of held closely, this was actually a lot of buyers came in to support it, but it's starting to live below that trend. It
Yeah.
broke the low from this here, so probably a shakeout coming for ADMA. So flash
Okay.
this little buy signal here. Had a nice pop. Let's see how much that rallied up. Yeah, it rallied up 8%. So if you did get it, you had a chance to take some pretty early profits on there. Set your stop at break even. You probably would have got stopped out here. But more likely than not, this thing is probably going to see a little bit more downward pressure. So we'll just see what happens tomorrow. But in the meantime, Maddie, that is Arrow Review for today, this April Fool's Day.
Well, thank you, sir, and thank you to everybody following along here on Patreon. We appreciate your patronage. And as always, happy trading.
Happy trading, man. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye bye.
Bye.